Have you ever been on one of those projects, you know the kind, where things just go completely off the rails? Well, today, we're going to dissect exactly why that happens. We're not here to dwell on past disasters, but to give you a real, proactive toolkit to make sure your next project is a massive success right from the get-go.
Yeah, if you're a business analyst, this probably hits a little too close to home. We've all been there, right? That project with the messy requirements, stakeholders who just disappear, or an end product that nobody actually wanted. It's practically a rite of passage, but by understanding it, we can learn how to sidestep it completely.
So let's dive into the anatomy of failure. We're going to look at the common traps the projects fall into, not so we can point fingers, but so we can build a strategy to see them coming and stop them in their tracks.
Okay, pitfall number one, and this is probably the biggest one of all. The vague start. It almost always begins with a really simple, broad request. Someone comes to you and says, "Hey, we need a better system for our sales team." Sounds harmless enough, right? Wrong. That's actually a super dangerous starting point.
Because here's what happens. Those fuzzy, vague ideas create this perfect storm for two things that absolutely kill projects. First, you get scope creep, where new features just keep getting tacked on forever. And second, you end up with unhappy end users because the thing you built doesn't actually solve the problems they deal with every day. So, how do you fight this? You need your detective toolkit. Seriously, your job is to become a detective. Don't just take the request at face value. Interrogate it. Ask why again and again and again until you dig down to the real root of the business problem. Figure out how people will actually use this thing, and then use all that intel to lock down a rock-solid scope.
And I really want you to remember this. A clear, well-defined scope is not just some boring document. It is your absolute best defense against failure. Think of it as the North Star for your project that keeps every single decision on track.
All right, so you've got a clear scope. You know the what. But believe me, that's only half the battle. Pitfall number two is all about the who. I'm talking about the disconnected team, where the people who really matter are left out of the conversation. The problem here is that key people are often stuck in their own little bubbles. Or worse, they're not brought into the project until it's way too late. And the impact? It's a total nightmare. A huge critical flaw gets discovered at the 11th hour by the one person you forgot to talk to. And suddenly you're looking at expensive rework and massive delays.
The solution is your communication playbook. As the BA, you have to become the central communication hub for the entire project. That means your job is to hunt down every single person who has a stake in this thing, clearly define what their role is, keep them updated constantly, and, this is the big one, make sure they're all talking to each other.
And you know, a really powerful tool for this is a RACI matrix. It sounds complicated, but it's not. It just clarifies who is responsible for doing the work, who is accountable for it, who needs to be consulted along the way, and who just needs to be kept informed. A simple chart like this can literally prevent a world of pain and confusion.
Okay, let's move on to our final pitfall. And this one's a little seductive. It's called the technical fix. This is what happens when the whole team gets super excited about some cool new technology without stopping to ask if it actually solves a real business problem.
Because here's the absolute truth. Building a technical solution that isn't tied to a clear business goal is just a massive, massive waste of time and money. You can build the most beautiful, elegant piece of tech in the world, but if it doesn't actually serve a real purpose, it's a failure, period.
The way to avoid this is to adopt a strategist mindset. Your job isn't just to make a list of features. It's to make sure that the why is always connected to the what. Every single requirement you write has to be linked directly to a business goal. And before you build anything, you have to define what success looks like in clear, measurable numbers.
So for instance, let's say that shiny new technical fix is an AI chatbot. Success isn't just we launched the chatbot. No way. Success is a real business outcome, like setting a key performance indicator, a KPI, to reduce the number of support calls by 20%. But that's not all.
You could also aim for something like a 15% increase in your customer satisfaction scores. See, these are the kinds of numbers that prove the technology is actually providing real value. Without these, you're just building tech for the sake of tech.
Okay, so let's pull all of this together. When you step back and look at these three pitfalls, you start to see a really clear pattern, don't you? It's all about making a fundamental shift in how you work, from being reactive to problems to being incredibly proactive.
And here's the most important takeaway of all.
Project failures are almost never about one single mistake. They are symptoms of much deeper issues. Things like poor communication, fuzzy goals, and not getting buy-in from the right people. These are the real root causes you have to tackle.
And the way you tackle them is with your strategic toolkit, which is really about playing 3 key roles. First, you're the detective, always asking why. Second, you're the communicator, the person connecting everyone and everything. And third, you're the strategist, making sure everything you do delivers real, measurable value.
When you embrace these 3 roles, you stop just managing tasks and you start truly leading projects. You have the power to turn what could be a failure into a huge success. So with all that in mind, I have a question for you. What is the first why you're going to ask tomorrow?